Yes, hello. It is finally time to begin the playlist that I've been promising you for so long, which is Let's Learn Music Theory. But I must say that I don't like the term music theory for the same reason that I don't like the term computer science. I'm not a computer scientist, but it seems to me that science implies kind of trying to understand something that already exists, whereas computers were made by people, and collectively we should have all the information somewhere about how they work. Along the same lines, the way music works was created by people, so it's not like we're having a theory about it, really. We're just learning how it's organized. So I'm going to keep using the term music theory, but what I really mean is how music is organized and understood. And when I say music theory, because that's what everybody says, just know that it's under protest. Also, just a little more musing. Yeah, so if you're new to this, what you're going to see is that you're confused at first because the basis of everything about this is completely imaginary. But the basis about a lot of stuff is completely imaginary. Like, let's take the way we count. We count arranged in tens, right? Why is it tens? What if there was a number in between 6 and 7? Then how much would 10 equal? 11. So what's 10 plus 10? 22. Why isn't it that? I don't know. It all has no basis in reality other than, maybe we have 10 fingers, so that was kind of convenient. But it really could be just anything, and that's the way it is. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my kindergarten teacher and our music theory expert, Miss Poopadoop, to explain the basis of things. Well said, Ryan. Yes, thank you. Thank you. All right, you all recognize this. It's the first 7 letters of the alphabet, and that's where things tend to go haywire right off the bat, because you recognize this. You have some false idea that there's a correlation in the alphabet or something, but it's not the case. It's just the names that we happen to give the 7 notes. I almost wish they would have called them, Andy, Beatrice, Carlisle, Dave, because then it wouldn't seem like it makes sense in some way that it doesn't. But one thing that's always true is that a note that's further along in the alphabet is higher than a note that's less further along in the alphabet. Just kidding, because right after G comes the next A, the next B, the next C, and so on and so forth. So even that doesn't have anything to do with anything. So banish the thought that anything has anything to do with anything, and these are your 7 natural notes, which is to say not sharp or flat. In between most of them, there is a sharp or a flat. In between A and B comes A sharp. There is no B sharp. It doesn't exist. It just doesn't. Why? I don't know. It just doesn't. In between C and D comes C sharp. Are you noticing the pattern? More false correlation. C sharp has nothing to do with C. It's a different note entirely. It's got nothing at all to do with C. It's a different note. This is Carlisle. This is Charlie. Different people. In between D and E comes D sharp. There's no such thing as E sharp. Why? I don't know. There just isn't. In between F and G comes F sharp. And between G and the next A, this goes on forever and ever and ever until you can't hear anymore because it's too high, and goes back forever and ever until you can't hear anymore because it's too low, comes G sharp. To make matters more confusing, A sharp, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, and G sharp have other names that mean the exact same thing. A sharp is also known as B flat. Same exact note, 2 different names, no correlation with B, no correlation with A. There's nothing here. There's no note there. C sharp is also known as D flat. Are you getting the pattern here? D sharp, aka E flat. F sharp, aka G flat. And G sharp, aka A flat. As guitar players, you can call them either one you want. It doesn't matter, but a handy dandy trick to remember that there's no such thing as B sharp and there's no such thing as E sharp is to say, be sure never to say B sharp or E sharp. Back to you, Ryan. All right, so that gives us 12 notes in total. That's the only 12 notes there are. There are no other notes. There's only 12. Every single song by every single songwriter ever in the history of mankind has been made with these 12 notes. But not really, because that's only the way we do it here, right? If you ever listen to like like traditional Indian music and you notice you just can't jive along to it, it's because they don't do that. They do something else. There's infinity ways to arrange, frequencies of strings vibrating in a way, and the fact that they're pleasing is only pleasing because it's the way we've been listening to it since the day we were born. If you put, a child from another nationality into American culture at birth, they would grow up knowing and liking that music. And if you took an American baby and put them anywhere else at birth, they would, be jiving along with whatever. But the point is, here's an exercise to reinforce that idea. Ready? We're going to start with our E string. It's called the E string because it starts on the E note, the same E note we were just talking about. And then the next note, this is what you're going to do. There's no such thing as E sharp, so that's F. F sharp, G. G sharp, A. A sharp, B. No such thing as B sharp, so straight to C. C sharp, D. D sharp, and there we are on the 12th fret with E once again. That means including the open string up through the 11th fret. That's 12 notes, so you should end where you started on the 12th fret. That's why there's 2 dots. Woo! Next string. Ready? I'm going to walk you through all these. Do this at home. Practice going up through the musical alphabet. You don't have to memorize anything except for no B sharp or E sharp, and there's no such thing as H. And it just goes in a loop. Once you get to G, you go back to A. Speaking of A sharp, B, no such thing as B sharp, same as this situation. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, no such thing as E sharp, so F, the 8th fret of the A string is F. F sharp, G, G sharp, and 12th fret, of course, of the A string is A once more. Down to the D string, D, D sharp, E. Look, that's in your E chord. 2nd fret of the D string. All the things are, yeah. So, E, no such thing as E sharp. F, F sharp, G, G sharp, loops back around to A. Look, here's our octave. A, 5th fret of the E string. A, 7th fret of the D string. 2 strings up, 2 frets down. Octaves. Where were we? A sharp, B, no such thing as B sharp, so that's C, C sharp, and 12th fret of the D string is D. On to the G string, G, G sharp, A, loop back around, A sharp, B, no such thing as B sharp, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, no such thing as E sharp, so F, F sharp, and 12th fret of the G string, of course, is G. On to the B string. B, no such thing as B sharp, so C, look, it's in our C chord. 1st fret of the B string is in our C chord because it's a C note gasp. All right, 2nd fret, C sharp, D, it's in our D chord, look. D sharp, E, no such thing as E sharp, so F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, and 12th fret of the B string is B. And last, the E string is going to be the exact same as the E string. It's just a whole heck of a lot higher. E, no such thing as E sharp, F, F sharp, G, it's in our G chord, pew, pew. G sharp, A sharp, B, no such thing as B sharp, C, same as this 8th fret of the E string was also C, as is this. Where was I? C sharp, D, D sharp, and 12th fret of the E string is E. So there it is. Practice that until you can do it without thinking so hard about, oh my gosh, did I just say B sharp and I shouldn't have said B sharp or what, do that. And, this is the reason why as guitar players we gravitate towards saying sharp rather than flat. There is a correct way and a correct time to say sharp versus flat, but we're not going to talk about that today. We'll probably talk about that in video 15 or something. It doesn't matter. If you say G sharp, but you really should have said A flat, we're all going to know what you mean. So just, going up, it makes more sense to say E, F, F sharp rather than E, F, G flat because you kind of just said F. So it's kind of on your brain and you're usually thinking up more than you're thinking down, but perhaps go up as sharps and go down as flats if you like, if you're feeling extra industrious and overachieving teacher's pet. Just kidding. Do whatever you want. Just walk up and down the strings saying the names of the notes. Don't worry about memorizing them. That is not the point. I do not want you to worry about saying that, oh my god, I don't have it memorized, that the 6th fret of the E string is A sharp. I don't care about that. I just want you to feel comfortable talking your way through the musical alphabet, remembering there's no such thing as B sharp or E sharp, and that it loops around back to A after G sharp. And that is it. That is your first How Music is Organized music theory lesson. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sure that wasn't new to a lot of people, and I'll bet you it was, maybe never spelled out before to a lot of people also. So I hope you enjoyed that. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And I will see you next time with more stuff. Goodbye. One last little funny musing about imaginary things, because that's really what we're talking about here, right? When you go to a football game, the only thing going on about the football game that is a football game is that everybody at the football game agrees that what's going on is a football game. Another way to think about that is, if aliens came down and saw people riding horses, it would look just as silly to them as it looks when we see monkeys riding pigs. That's all I have to say about that. Goodbye.